and welcome to the Chamber's 2021 Community Outlook Breakfast. I'm Elena Campbell, President of the Rochester Regional Chamber of Commerce and the Rochester Regional Chamber Foundation. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this morning's event, along with our presenting sponsors, Ascension Providence Rochester Hospital, First State Bank, and Mosheri Companies. We have an amazing team here at the Rochester Regional Chamber, and we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize the individuals who serve in leadership roles within the Chamber. With over 800 members representing one of the largest chambers in the state, we, the staff, appreciate their time. First, I'd like to recognize our partners. The Chamber is privileged to work with these community-minded businesses and organizations. They're staunch supporters of the Chamber, believing in and supporting our mission. They are Ascension Providence Rochester Hospital, Oakland University, Chief Financial Credit Union, Bellbrook, Shelton Buick GMC, Matina Kenton Gibbons, Par Pharmaceutical, Rochester University, Fox Automotive, Mosheri, First State Bank, Beaumont, and Auger Klein Aller Architects. The Chamber's Board of Directors is a group of volunteers who provide their leadership and expertise to establish the long-term strategic vision for the Chamber, ensuring we're constantly striving to improve the benefits we offer to you, our members, and strengthening our partnerships within the community. I'd like to specifically recognize our Executive Board. Our immediate past chair is John Young, Vice President of Communications and Marketing at Oakland University. Our secretary this year is Lauren Royston, Community Affairs Manager for Consumers Energy. Our treasurer is Tom DeLuzin, CEO of Chief Financial Credit Union. Our vice chair and chair-elect is Vince Matina with Matina Kenton Gibbons, and our 2021 board chair is Marilyn Trent, Principal Brand Strategist at Trent Creative. I'd like to recognize another board of directors, the one that leads the Chamber's charitable arm, the Rochester Regional Chamber Foundation. The foundation was established to support the Chamber's commitment to contributing to the well-being and improvement of our community as a whole. This encompasses the Chamber's leadership program, Leadership Greater Rochester, sponsored by Par Pharmaceutical, and the Rochester Area Hometown Christmas Parade, sponsored by Chief Financial Credit Union and Rochester University. Special thanks to our Foundation's Executive Board. Our Secretary, David Walker with Brookview Realty, our Treasurer, Vince Matina with Matina Kenton Gibbons, our Vice Chair, Linda Davis Kirksey with Davis Kirksey Associates, and our Chair, John Gaber with Williams, Ratner, and Plunkett. Chamber ambassadors are an important group in our organization. These dedicated volunteers act as our extended staff and are enthusiastic cheerleaders for you, our members. You can't miss them at our events. They wear a signature red name badge. Our ambassador chair this year is Scott Hunter, Cruise and Travel Experts with Scott the Traveling Man. Our vice chair is Andrew Grabinski with Sinclair Wealth Management, and our secretary is Lisa Swiftney with LS Publications. The young professionals of the Rochester Regional Chamber are an active group under 40 years of age. They engage in professional development, networking, mentoring, and philanthropic activities. This year's chair is Ashley Workmeister from Chief Financial Credit Union. And finally, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge our dedicated, hardworking, and wonderful staff. It's their day-to-day support and hard work that ensures the board's vision is implemented and realized. We may be small, but our team is mighty. We have Michelle Eberly, our digital marketing strategist, and our beloved Vice President, Maggie Bobbitz. Without them, we wouldn't accomplish half of our wild ideas and grand visions. Normally, we would be at Oakland University enjoying a lovely breakfast in the Oakland Center. Clearly, we are all looking into a computer screen, as it seems we have been for the past year. We know there's a light at the end of this tunnel and that we'll be back again next year in person. However, we have realized the usefulness of providing virtual options. It cuts out drive time and reduces costs. So going forward, even when we can hold in-person events, the Chamber will continue to provide a virtual option utilizing this platform, Hopin, one of the leading online event platforms. We're so grateful for today's presenting sponsors, who are also committed Chamber partners. First, we'd like to acknowledge Ascension Providence Rochester Hospital. Unfortunately, a representative couldn't be here today to welcome you, but we all know the important role they play in our community and in our daily lives. We know they're working hard to keep our community safe. So next, let's hear from our second presenting sponsor, First State Bank.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At fsbcares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. fsbcares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood, because strong neighbors mean stronger communities. Where good neighbors do great things. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
And now, our final presenting sponsor for today's event, Mosheri Companies. It's my pleasure to introduce Mario Mosheri.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rochester Community Outlook Breakfast. I'm Mario Mosheri of Mosheri Companies, Michigan's legendary dream builders. We all know that 2020 was a challenging year for all of us, and I'd like to acknowledge the team of Mosheri professionals and share with you the accomplishments that we've had through this last year. We continued to develop numerous properties around Southeast Michigan. In October, we opened Blossom Springs, a secured assisted living and memory care residence, our second senior living community from the Blossom Collection. With 56 new studio apartments, Blossom Springs is located at the corner of Adams and Silver Bell Road. Just south on Adams, Blossom Ridge celebrated its one-year anniversary this past June. The Ridge campus provides retirement cottages, independent living, and assisted living options where comfort, care, and convenience are never compromised. We also opened our 6th apartment community called Tribute Creek. It's also at Adams and Silver Bell Road. As you see, we are very vested in this community. There are a total of 84 apartments and ranch-style homes surrounded by natural wooded views, pond settings, and all designed with elegant finishes and premier details. Further south on Adams Road in Auburn Hills, we have Parkways of Auburn Hills Apartments, located walking distance to downtown Auburn Hills. It's expanding to 178 residences. We're adding 30 new 3-bedroom townhomes to meet the housing needs of this thriving community. We're now taking reservations for spring, summer of 2021 for move-ins in these new townhomes. There is much to be grateful for when we reflect on this last year. We'd like to acknowledge the hardworking heroes of our communities. For our senior communities, we'd like to thank our nurses, caregivers, housing officials, kitchen and dining staff, our activity coordinators, and all other medical and non-medical staff for implementing all the necessary protocols to keep our residents safe and our communities running smoothly. In addition to administering early COVID-19 testing, the Blossom Collection was among the first in the area to receive and complete vaccinations for our residents and staff, all while still providing premium services and housing for all ages. We want to further acknowledge the efforts of the contractors, suppliers, construction workers, essential housing and maintenance team members for their continued work to maintain schedules, to ensure that the housing needs of our communities were met, and that they continued to function safely and efficiently. In 2020, Mosheri was recognized for several accolades. Mosheri Custom Homes Division won National Best in American Living Awards from the National Association of Home Buildings. Our Avante Pinnacle model was selected as the best single-family production spec detached home at 4,000 to 4,500 square feet that are built for sale. The Best in American Living Awards recognizes outstanding achievements by builders and design professionals in all sectors of the residential housing industry. Blossom Ridge Inspired Senior Living Community received the National Silver Award for the best clubhouse in a 55-plus housing community under 200 homes. This is for the second year in a row. In 2021, we are excited and looking forward to developing projects that will continue to contribute to the nearby Rochester communities. Our family is rooted in the community, and together we can continue to make Rochester area a sought-after city to call home. Thank you for your time today, and we'll hand this back to Elena.
So let's get started. As is tradition, we're thrilled to entertain you with a short and funny message featuring our chamber and community leadership. Enjoy.
All right, so hey everyone, great to see everyone today on the Community Outlook Breakfast on Zoom.
Thank you, Marilyn. We just have some incredible news to share. I just can't wait. The Super Bowl, the Mars rover, the Olympics. Can't believe Mayor Barnett, Kanye West. This can only be described as the world's craziest hootenanny. Guest stars on WandaVision.
We're missing all the best parts.
Did you ever watch that 70s show?
We can't hear you.
The old man is constantly telling everyone that he's gonna.
We can't hear you.
Thank you.
Mayor Barnett?
Hey, I'm Brian Barnett. Thanks for allowing me a few minutes to talk a little bit here about the City of Rochester Hills and some of the exciting things going on here in our community for the Chamber's Outlook Breakfast. First of all, let's get someone like Bob Shaner some help on the technology. Bob, that was a little embarrassing. As your friend, you need to work on that. Let me show you how it's done. I want to show you a couple things that are going on in the City of Rochester Hills that I'm exceptionally proud of. One of the things that we learned through the pandemic was people love our parks. Let me go ahead and share my screen here and show you some of the things that we recognize. As you can see from the chart, parks attendance up over 43% over last year. Simply incredible. Are they seeing what I'm seeing? Is this football? Are you kidding me? Hold on one second. A little technical difficulty probably on your side there. Is that better? That looks better. But as I was saying, people really flocked to our parks when they needed to be outdoors. They wanted to get away from the strains and trials of the pandemic. Am I a banana?
Oh, you are? Okay.
Am I a freaking banana? Who put these filters on? Hold on one second. There we go. Is that better? Oh, crap. Okay. I think we have it all figured out. Apologize for that. But it doesn't change from the really strong story that the City of Rochester Hills experienced in 2020, despite the challenges of a pandemic. As I said, let me go ahead and share my screen because there's some really interesting data here that I want you to take a look at. As I mentioned, parks attendance was up, but also look at the amount of investment that we put into. Are they seeing what is this? That was somebody else, obviously looking about Diet Coke there. That's obviously it. I mean, let me go to the next slide. And as I said, the investment that we put in the Auburn Road corridor, this is also not correct. Maria, it's the grilled cheese thing that you were looking up, not me, remember? Yeah, okay, 1 second. This is obviously awkwardly my search history. Is this one better? Does this show our expenditures? Oh goodness, this is, yeah. What to do in Oakland Township after 6. Honest sir, I was bored.
Oh no.
Okay, let me click out of that. Oh, good Lord, this is not my presentation. Maria, this is not. Let me just try. Oh crap.
There's a lot of great things going on in Oakland Township.
Oh, you're too far away. Can you get closer?
How's this?
Oh no, that's now that's too close.
How's this?
Just scooch over to the right a little bit.
Wait, this can't be right.
No, that's,
Hello?
could you just kind of straighten?
Hello?
Oh, Mayor Bixon, it's over to you now.
It's muted, so we're all good now.
How is the new proposal coming?
Oh, it's great. I love that idea that Rochester takes over both Rochester Hills and Oakland Township.
Mayor Bixon,
Everyone's going to love that. Absolutely. That's a winner.
What about that Rochester Hills mayor?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. Yeah, he may not like that. Hey, I got an idea. We can find him something working for the city of Rochester. Yeah, that would be great.
you know you're not muted, right?
Everybody will be happy. He'll like that too.
Well, those big houses in Oakland Township are really nice.
They really are nice. Boy, I bet we could use some of that tax revenue to fix the roads in Rochester. We could even lower our taxes in Rochester and keep them the same in the hills and the township. Yeah, I think everybody's going to really like that. Well, I'll unmute it now. Ooh, whoops.
So, hi, Elena. That fake background really looks great. It looks convincing.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how real these backgrounds can look? It's really cool. I really wish I was here in a warm place because it's, 12 inches of snow out there and cold. So we're so excited to talk today about some of the great things that the Chamber's been working on over the last year and some of the exciting things that we have coming up in 2021. Oh, thank you, honey. I appreciate it.
Jump in the water.
It's going to be the most amazing year ever.
I don't think she's coming back.
Special thanks go to Jason Dale and Dan Kessler at Rochester Hills TV for producing this video each year. It's so much fun. As you can tell, they put a lot of time and effort into it. It's now my pleasure to introduce the 2021 Chair of the Rochester Regional Chamber, Marilyn Trent, Principal Brand Strategist at Trent Creative. Marilyn is a longtime Rochester resident. She serves on the board of the Rochester Downtown Development Authority and heads up the Rochester Pollinators Committee of the Rochester City Beautiful Commission. If you want to know what a pollinator is, ask Marilyn. It's been my great pleasure to work with Marilyn over the past 4 years, and I look forward to her leadership as the 2021 chair of our board. And now, Marilyn Trent.
Thank you, Elena. I'm honored to serve as chair this year as we work to provide support to our business community and revitalize our local economy. If you have questions you would like to ask our community leaders, please type them in the chat box, which can be found on the right side of your screen. It's now my pleasure to introduce our moderator for today, someone who has been actively involved throughout our community for a number of years. David Walker is a realtor with Brookview Realty. He is a firm believer in giving back and is particularly passionate about the Rochester Regional Chamber of Commerce. He currently serves as the secretary for the Rochester Regional Chamber Foundation Board of Directors and is a Rochester Hills City Councilman. Before David and our panelists join us live, we would like to offer you a 10-minute break. So use the restroom, grab a cup of coffee, order your next meal from one of our great takeout restaurants in the community, or stretch and shake it out. We'll be right back with David Walker.
At this time, we are pleased to introduce this to participate in a panel discussion. First, Dominic Abate, the Oakland Township Supervisor, 30 years, volunteering early on for various township committees and boards. He has served as a trustee for the Township Supervisor in the 2020 election. Something you may not know about Abate is that he owned a successful firm for 37 years. Please welcome Oakland Township Supervisor Dominic Abate. Next, the Mayor of the City of Rochester, Stuart Bixon. He is currently an economics and government teacher at Waterford Mott High School. He has served RA and the OPC and has served as a Rochester City 1999. Something you may not know about that he spent a year in Paris, France. Bonjour, Mayor Dixon.
Oui, oui.
Down the hall to the left. Brian Barnett, Mayor of the City of Rochester Hills. Mayor Brian Barnett has served Rochester Hills 2 years next month, establishing himself as serving mayor. The Conference of Mayors position, known for his innovative leadership, amazing humor, and rugged good look. He was recently featured on the cover of Signature Socks with an article of upping your sock game. Please welcome Mayor Brian Barnett. Super schools, 4 middle schools, 1 alternative high school, and the Caring Section. Recently, he was recognized as superintendents and administrators. With and the we are lucky to have, and our team will select a few, if time permits, in nature. For the panel, in the spirit of time, I would ask that you're less, as we have a lot of ground to cover this morning. All right. First, this will be for all of the panelists to say that a lot has happened their last fourth. Difficult, pivot, or unprecedented. Can you identify your community or organization's most and then Mayors Dixon and Barnett, and we'll finish with Dr. Shaner. Dominic?
Okay, David, you're breaking up a little bit, but you're talking about revitalizing businesses. Is that correct?
Yeah, the first question.
Okay. Well, Oakland Township obviously has much less business and or commercial than Rochester or Rochester Hills. Commercial growth in the township has been done in a controlled manner, and business uses are contained in 3 general areas to serve our residents' immediate needs. The commercial we do have is struggling like all others are, and we have no special programs to bring in more businesses at this point. A community opinion survey done a few years ago identified that 85 to 90% of residents felt that the amount of existing commercial was just right, and were willing to commute for other non-essential goods. Based on that survey and taking into consideration facilities in adjacent cities and townships, we updated our old zoning ordinance to reflect land uses appropriate to the specific areas, and it seems to be working. Thank you.
My next.
Dixon.
You're breaking up a little bit, David. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for having me today. Obviously, the first thing the city of Rochester did was to fight the COVID disease. And we are very proud of the fact that our fire station has been chosen as a vaccine center and also a center for vaccine testing. So we're very proud that our center, our firehouse is the center. People can come and get vaccinated, and we are really at the forefront of helping fight this disease. As I said in the press conference, we're very proud to have Par Pharmaceutical, who is one of our leading employers, working on the Novavax vaccine. And so we're really part of the major part of our nation's strategy on vaccine study is happening right here. In working with the DDA, we did a lot of things to help our businesses downtown. We paid for free parking for 6 months to allow everybody to come downtown and park for free. Anything to get people to come downtown and help with our businesses. We forgave the PSD taxes on businesses to allow businesses to have a little help in getting through these difficult economic times. And we've promoted Shop Locally, which I think has been very successful. And we've helped the Rochester restaurants, which we consider very important. We've actually got them outdoor dining platforms, and we supported that, and we're going to be doing that again this spring and fall. So we've been very fortunate to help our restaurants. We've been lucky that not a single restaurant has closed, and we're hoping that in 2021, our downtown and our restaurants specifically will have an outstanding year of recovery. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being to the Chamber for hosting. Yeah, obviously a lot has happened in the last since February 24th of last year when we met. And I'm so incredibly proud of our team. And I say our team, talking about the employees of the City of Rochester Hills. In the days that followed our initial closing, when everything really shut down, we completely changed what we were doing, our entire course of business, and just started looking at how we live outward as an organization. And for us, that meant we started making phone calls. We called 3,000 seniors in Rochester Hills every week for about 2 months just to check on them, to see if they needed anything, to see how we could assist them. I made some calls and secured like 15,000 masks, and then our team went out and delivered masks, at least 5 to every member of our community that lived in a senior citizen or assisted living home. We secured a pallet of bleach and delivered that to different places throughout the community. Things that we'd never done before, but that's where the need was to reach out and serve our residents in a slightly different way than what we were used to. As we worked through the pandemic, through the initial real strong and intense challenges, we then started focusing on what we're going to look like through it and on the other side. And one of the things that I'm really proud of, as I mentioned in the initial comments, was the way we really doubled down on investing in our quality of life. We have, and I may be a little biased here, the world's best city council. They've been incredibly supportive of investing in quality of life. And two of the big projects that, like I said, that are really launched this last year, over the last 12 months, probably things that are two of the most dynamic projects in the last 50 years in our city, for those of you who have lived a long time, the revitalization of the Auburn Road Corridor and the investment in Innovation Hills. We learned that people really care about public spaces and their parks. When they're quarantined home, they're not traveling domestically or internationally, they look to see where they can travel with their feet. Or on a dollar's worth of gas to get around here someplace close. And so really proud of the way people experienced our parks and the investment that we have as administration and council put into those parks. I think will pay off for a long time. Excited to talk more about those, but that's really what the City of Rochester Hills has been up to, dealing with the initial pandemic and then looking at how we want to make sure people's quality of life is impacted in a positive way moving forward.
Well, thank you, David, and thanks to the Chamber for hosting. Just really want to, before we go into all the complexities that that are the pandemic, I want to take a step back and just really thank the families in the community, our entire staff, and a Board of Education that's really consists of 7 volunteers who have been dedicated in this endeavor from the get-go about a year ago today. And as you know, today we welcomed all of our students back for full-time face-to-face instruction, with including feeding them. But over the past year, our business has been focused on kids. It's been focused on inspiration, hope, and love. And our entire staff, our entire community, and our Board of Education have had that clarity of purpose. We've done things like provide an opportunity for a virtual campus, which is much different than the way a lot of organizations conduct a virtual campus. We use Rochester teachers with Rochester curriculum. And it's been very successful. We've got about 3,000 kids enrolled in it at one point, and we continue to go back and forth with the numbers on that. We've also had to make sure that every child's had a device in their hands in a very short period of time. All 15,000 of our students now are in a one-to-one environment with devices. We continue to focus on our way forward and work with our community. Many people may not realize it, but the way we got back to full face-to-face instruction is through a committee process. We have a large committee that includes stakeholders from the community, our staff, and then working with our labor units to make sure that everyone's safe. And that would have not have been possible at all without the partnership of Ascension Hospital. 90% of our staff have been vaccinated or have had the opportunity to be vaccinated. And we know that number will climb, and that would not have been possible without the help of Ascension Providence and the fine people there, and all the partnerships that exist in this community. As we think of our way forward, I think one of the key words there is partnership.
Thank you. And subsequent mandatory restrictions have had on our businesses. Mayors Bixson and Barnett, what does the business climate your communities
Supervisor.
that were hardest hit? We'll start with Dominic again. Dominic?
I say the outlook is better than your internet connection, David.
Yeah, is this part of the gag video again? I'm not sure. Dominic, I think you're up first, maybe.
This is the second question. I didn't hear the question, but
Just answer
what I
that,
know,
Dominic.
How's business going in Dominic? How is business going in your community? How's that?
well, we don't have a lot of business in our community. As I said in the previous response, we only have 3 general areas for business, and like everybody else, they're struggling. But much of our township, as you know, is rural. And that's my response.
Okay, well, I'll say that businesses in downtown Rochester is doing surprisingly well. Of course, business has struggled, and it's been a difficult year. But we really think we're in the process of coming out of this in a very positive way. Our downtown occupancy rate is 95%, which we consider, excellent in any time. We're now, it's almost amazing. We have new businesses coming into town, so we think that's an excellent a sign of things to come. We have not, as I mentioned, we've not had a restaurant close. It has been very difficult, and hopefully as the occupancy rate continues to hopefully go up, it will be well. And, restaurants downtown last night, restaurants were busy. We're going to continue to offer outside dining platforms for the businesses like we did last year. So we think that's going to be very effective, and the restaurants are very excited by that. We are going to have the DDA continue to do all of what they used to do as the restrictions come off. So we're, having our DDA getting ready to really revitalize, and hopefully by this summer have our usual programs up and running. So it's been a difficult time, but we really think we're starting to see positives in our town. And as I said, I really think 2021 is going to be a strong year of recovery in the city of Rochester and in downtown Rochester in particular. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and again, welcome everyone to the first and last chamber event that David Walker will ever host, hopefully. The question is really critical, and I know many of the people watching today as a part of our chamber family are really focused on this. My heart has really beat and broken for the small businesses in our community. I mean, cities have had it rough. We've challenged ourselves, we've responded, but no one has had it as difficult as the small business community across the country, and certainly that is true here in Rochester Hills as well. And so, again, our business model changed completely over the last year, things that we'd never done before. We began distributing PPE, we began connecting businesses with grants. We've helped hundreds of local businesses connect with funding from the county or from the federal government, from the state government, which has been critically important, a lifeline in many instances. We've worked on eliminating, the council's been supportive in eliminating many fees. We've worked with partners to get them up on billboards. We've done commercials for them to support them. We've put together programs to shop local. I've gone and handed gift cards out to people, caught people shopping local, giving them a gift card to another local business. So we've tried to do everything we can to stand alongside the small businesses, because they are truly the backbone of our community. We're not one giant business. We are a bunch of mom and pops that go wake up every morning. Many of them sit at the kitchen table the night before trying to figure out how they're going to make it to the next month. And so my job as leader of this city is to find any way we can to come alongside and support. Sometimes it's bringing special speakers. We had a good speaker last week in Frank Luntz and invited the chamber community to it. But it's anything we can do, anything we can steal from other communities doing it well, to come alongside and support our small businesses is a massive focus here in the city of Rochester Hills.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hopefully we stabilized the technology.
Welcome back.
Don't quote me on it, but thank you. Here's one for just Oakland Township. Supervisor Abate, with the new leadership at the helm in Oakland Township, do you see any change in direction to bring more businesses and increase the tax base for the township?
Okay, well, I understand that question. The leadership at the helm in Oakland Township isn't completely new. Of the 7 board members, 3 are returning from from the last term. Treasury John Gianangeli, Clerk Robin Buxar, and Trustee Lana Manjapani are returning. I'm returning after previously serving as a trustee for 16 years. Of the 3 new trustees, Andy Zale has had extensive involvement with the township on the Safety Path and Trails Committee. The other 2, Dave Marbury and Jack Elder, are longtime township residents and ran for the trustee positions to maintain the present course of the township. Also maintaining our course is the staff at the Township Hall. In these rough times, they really do a great job, and were a big help in me taking over as supervisor, and I really appreciate it. As I said previously, probably in answer to the wrong question, we don't have a lot of business in the township, and again, is struggling like everybody else is.
Thank you, Dominic. Okay, we have an education question. Dr. Shaner, you're up. We know it's been a roller coaster year for our educational system, with the challenges no one could have ever seen coming. What is the biggest pressing issue our educational system is facing right now?
Well, David, I think there's multiple challenges that we face. The good news is that we stay focused in our organization on serving children, providing them with that hope, inspiration, and love. And we have great people on this Zoom that offer partnership in that, and we greatly appreciate it. I also, again, want to take an opportunity to there's not enough gratitude to go around to our staff and our families that have weathered this storm. Without us working together in partnership, we would not have been able to accomplish getting kids back to school, which has always been our focus from day one, is to try to get kids back in front of our caring, loving teachers in person. But I would say that there's really 3 tiers of challenges that we're facing. If people aren't aware of it, at the federal level, the Title I formula that's being used for federal COVID relief funding is going to be very disproportionate to the Rochester community schools because of the way that formula has been worked out over the years. And we have worked diligently with our legislators and our people in Congress to raise their level of awareness of that disproportional allocation of funds. I would say in Lansing, as I work as part of the governor's advisory council, that we continue to face challenges with assessment, the state budget, and pupil accounting. And I might add that I see my role in that council is to provide the facts to the governor. And if it had been Governor Snyder asked me to serve, I would have raised my hand and asked to serve the kids of Michigan. But I think it's my role on that council to provide with the conditions and the context that are taking place in Rochester. And that is that flow through with that federal Title I money as well. That Title I formula is problematic to Rochester community schools and us getting federal COVID relief money. And most importantly, locally, and I don't think this is a heavy lift because we have, again, so many caring, loving staff members that are focused on kids, that we have to stay focused on providing our students a great example and a safe place to learn. and again, staying focused on making sure that they know they're loved. So I think all those things are really important, and they're certainly all competing interests. But if we stay focused on kids, I think we're going to be better than okay.
Thank you, Dr. Shaner. And a follow-up question, if I may, sir.
Sure.
How is the district addressing educational gaps which are likely to emerge as students return to the classroom?
Yeah, the good news for us as a school district, as an organization, is that we've been focused on having a coherent system for many, many years. So you may hear buzzwords from Lansing like benchmark testing, and that's something that we've engaged in for a very long time. I think the challenge for us in terms of gaps is making sure we define the right ones so we can get the right supports in the right places. For instance, when we look at our third grade benchmark reading and math assessments, we really don't see a gap in content delivery. We don't see a gap in kids' ability to learn to read. What we continue to assess is those social emotional gaps that came with the social isolation and the not being in school in person. And we continue to work on that in a multitude of ways to make sure that we're putting those supports in place where they need to be. I think one of the things that we need to do as an organization moving forward is stay focused on that systemness, not only with academics, but most importantly, with that social emotional support that our kids so badly need and so badly want. And they lean on each other, and their staff and their teachers and staff members are there for them. But it's something that requires us to have vigilant focus on.
Thank you, Dr. Shaner. All right, switching topics. One of our favorites, roads. It's a two-part question. Roads, still an issue here in Michigan. In the governor's State of the State address, she proposed a strengthening local roads and bridges proposal that appears to emphasize more local road funding options. Supervisor Abate, Mayors Bixson and Barnett, what is your view of this proposal?
Well, I don't know much about the governor's proposal. However, I'm not counting on it. Roads have always been a tremendous problem, especially in Oakland Township. In the late 70s, one of my first involvements in the township was at then Supervisor L. Taylor's request to prepare a map of problem areas in the township as a result of a recent survey. In my 16 years as a trustee, we dealt with road concerns. Over the past 20 years since, the board has dealt with road concerns. We're dealing with road concerns today. We only have about 5 traffic signals in the township. The majority of our problems are, and will be gravel roads. New developments have paved roads. Access to new developments must be paved for both maintenance concerns and safety. We continue to work with the Road Commission of Oakland County to maintain our gravel roads. We try to use the best engineering practices to do that and to slow deterioration. I don't know about the government's proposal, as I said, but I'm not counting on it.
Thank you. Mayor Bixson.
Yes, thank you. I also don't know exactly what the governor's proposal is, and I am also not counting on the governor to solve all of our road problems. Now, again, I certainly hope that the state government helps us, and we are, of course, willing to work with all of our representatives. And obviously, you have to give somebody a little benefit of the doubt, because we did have something COVID that probably took away a lot of the governor's resources. But any help we can get from the government, the state government is great, but I am also not counting on that. Roads are a big part of the city of Rochester's, our city council's goals. We've been spending millions of dollars on our roads, and we will continue to spend millions of dollars on the roads. One of the things that we try to do, and I think our city has done a really good job on, is leverage our road dollars. If we have to tear up a road to get to a sewer or something, we're going to try to fix that road at that time and make sure that we get the most bang for our buck. We are also working in conjunction with our DDA partners to fix a lot of the roads in the downtown, and kind of combining the resources of the DDA and the city. So we are trying to kind of take care of our own situation. We are trying to be as effective as possible. I think the city has done a great job of that. If we get help from the state and then from the governor, great, but we're going to move forward on our own to try to fix our own roads as best as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Barnett.
Thanks. I just want to say something quickly before I comment on the roads. All the faces you see on the screen have had to work really hard in this pandemic to adjust the business model. But no one, and I say this knowing what I've done and what I know Mayor Bixson has done, no one has had a more difficult challenge than Dr. Shaner and the school board. So my hat is off to our education community and the leadership there for really going through some historic times and oftentimes maybe feeling somewhat alone. You had certainly the support of the leaders on the screen, but thank you for your leadership, Dr. Shaner, and to the school board as well. As it relates to roads, yeah, we are familiar with the governor's plan. It calls for about $5.2 billion to MDOT. There's a portion of it that goes to bridges. The portion that you mentioned, Dave, unfortunately identifies a lot of bridges that are currently closed. There's about 60 bridges that are currently closed in the state of Michigan. The funding kind of goes towards them, and none of those are in the immediate area of our three communities. So that doesn't look to be overwhelmingly helpful, certainly helpful to the state as a whole, but not maybe something here that the Rochester community would see a big impact on. Obviously, we always advocate for more money to be delivered locally. We feel like in the city of Rochester Hills, much like you just heard Mayor Bixson say, we're probably best at fixing our roads and managing the money to do that. Since about the last 10 years, this is a pretty impressive number. We spent just under $500 million just in Rochester Hills on infrastructure. And we have a really cool chart. We ask our residents, we can always tell people fancy numbers and big numbers, but we ask our residents every year how they think the conditions of the roads are in the city of Rochester Hills versus what they see in other places in the state and other roads they travel domestically. And over the last, since 2013, the roads that people rate good has gone from 13% to almost 40% in the city. And the roads that they rate as negative or poor has gone from 40% down to 15%. So you've seen real movement from the people that drive the roads, that our investment, that money I talked about a few minutes ago, is making a real difference in the community. We've got some projects this year. We're going to work on Hamlin in front of Innovation Hills. We've got some work on DeQuinder that's going to happen. And then our very aggressive neighborhood programs in both asphalt and concrete will continue as well. But I'll ask you this, and you can put in the chat if you think I'm wrong. Hopefully you won't. I'm really proud of the work that we've done on our road network. And I think if you drive in the Rochester Hills community and you drive most of the major roads, it hasn't been more than a couple years that we've redone that road. And while the state has struggled to find a sort of global solution, here locally, we've done a really good job of it, and I'm proud of my team for that.
Thank you, Mayor. The second part of that question is, what road work specifically in your communities will have the biggest impact on area businesses? We'll start with Supervisor Abate.
Yeah, once again, we don't have much business in Oakland Township. The roads that the businesses that we do have are served by paved roads. And for the most part, there is a plan to maintain them and do some improvements like the turnaround roundabout by the elementary school, Delta Kelly. But other than that, gravel roads continue to be the main problem.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Bixson?
Off here. So, yeah, so some of the projects that are going to most affect our area are some of the roads right behind Rochester Road, 4th Street, 3rd Street, 2nd Street, kind of the roads around our downtown. We're going to be working on them and doing a lot of work on that. So, we're going to be working on that. Also, right by the Dairy Queen, there's going to be some work on the Romeo, the Romeo Main Street. It's going to be a big area there, so that's going to cause some issues. And kind of piggybacking on what Mayor Barnett said, one of the things that we really try to work on is we try to coordinate with the 3 cities, so we don't have roads that are shut down that just absolutely kind of have a gridlock. So when we're doing a project, we communicate with other communities. And so we're kind of trying to make sure that, one road that's closed would affect another city's road. So we're really trying to work together. And that's really when the 3 communities work the best, is we kind of make sure that we're working together to make sure that traffic flows as best we can during these times when we're closing roads. Thank you.
And Mayor Burnett.
Yeah, thanks, David. I think I mentioned some of them. Obviously, Hamlin Road in front of Innovation Hills, kind of between the city limits and Crooks is going to be redone this year. DeQuinder, that project is going to continue moving north. We've done a lot of work in the Auburn Road corridor, which is fantastic. The Butler Road, a smaller road that is off of Adams Road, heads to Auburn Hills, is going to be redone. Avon and DeQuinder, that intersection is going to be done. So we don't have like one massive project like when we shut down Livernois for 6 months, but there'll be some projects, and as Mayor Vixen said, spread out throughout the community to try to minimize disruption. I can tell you what won't be redone is any road that's between my house and some of my favorite restaurants. Those need to stay wide open because it's been a long time since I've been able to eat out. I'm just telling you that right now.
Very important. Understood completely. All right, Dr. Shaner, in that same spirit, does road work in any of our communities have any impact on the schools?
It has enormous impact, actually, David. We're 66 square miles in 5 municipalities, and we put well over 100 buses on the road every day. So the partnership with their municipal partners with the road work is critically important, and a great example of that partnership and really effectiveness is when Livernois was being repaved, and at the same time we took the opportunity to redo our transportation hub. It was great partnership between the city and between our entire team here, and I look forward to any time that we continue to improve our infrastructure that we work together in partnership. So it certainly affects it, but we certainly do work in partnership to minimize the impact.
Thank you, Dr. Shaner. All right, switching topics again to the vaccine rollout. Supervisor Abate, Mayors Vixen and Barnett, and Dr. Shaner, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the vaccine rollout. How is it going in your community, and what challenges have you faced? Supervisor Abate.
It's going as good, I think, as it is anywhere else. Being a small township helps us. We have no drive-through testing nor vaccination. In total, the township has received about $675,000 in COVID-19 grant funding. Of that amount, about $400,000 has went to the fire fund, and $275,000 went to the police fund. Also, the money was used for sanitizing and protecting township property and COVID protection for first responders.
Thank you, Supervisor Abate. Mayor Vixen?
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, we're very proud of the fact that we have one of the vaccine centers in the county at our firehouse. And a lot of people have told me that they've been really fortunate that they could get their shot there as opposed to driving to Southfield or anywhere in the county. So that's been a real plus. It's gone from 500 shots a day, where we're thinking we can get it up to 1,000 shots a day, the days that they come. Like every place else, one of the issues is this lack of lack of vaccines. But hopefully in the next month or two, with the new vaccines coming on board, our center is going to be working, hopefully almost round the clock to vaccinate people. We also got a lot of CARES money to help us pay for our fire department and our police, which really during the pandemic were heroic out there, risking themselves getting COVID to keep our essential services going. So, that was very helpful to the city. And again, thank you to our police, fire, and city staff who were working here during these very difficult times. And what we're really looking at for the vaccine is I think we have a real pent up demand, as kind of Mayor Barnett alluded to. We feel like as the restrictions start to get lessened, our restaurants and businesses in downtown is just going to be booming. We have some real pent up demand. So when it's safe, when we're allowed to, because we're of course going to follow the rules, but we think by this summer, we're really hoping with the vaccinations going full bore and with our city starting to open up, that we're going to really see a great recovery for downtown Rochester. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is probably the hottest topic right now, at least maybe if you judge by the amount of calls that come into City Hall here. Most of them are related to folks trying to secure a spot in the the vaccine line. It's been an interesting thing to watch, frankly. Some of you know I was invited by the previous president to the White House for with 5 governors, 5 mayors to talk about the vaccine rollout. And at the time, it was really interesting because I was impressed by the way people were working together. FedEx was working with UPS, their 2 CEOs next to each other. CVS and Walgreens, 2 CEOs next to each other working together. Military generals executing the game plan. And you can tell that there was a really intense and organized effort to get the vaccine out. Now, how it's played out over the last 3 months has been mixed, right? It's a challenge. You can look at, the government even trying to give stimulus checks out, right? Something that everybody wants, and even that has a lot of problems to it and problems associated with it. So the frustrating part to me has been really that people have described getting the vaccine as sort of like getting Super Bowl tickets. You sort of need to get a little lucky. You need to have some level of resources, even if it's just trying to be able to get online. That's not the way I don't think it should work. We're advocating very regularly with our 2 great county commissioners, Commissioner Kopendorfer and Commissioner Kuhn have been really fantastic. The county has really been the central distribution center. So when we get folks, we send them either to the county or to the site in Rochester, as Mayor Bixson indicated. And we're just looking for a little more, our job basically is information dissemination. The last time I checked, there were 380,000 people in the Save Your Spotline in Oakland County. This was last week, 380,000 people. And they're giving about less than 10,000 shots out a week. So you can do the math on that. It's going to take, unless they get a considerable amount of additional doses, it's going to take a long time. So you got creative leadership and partnerships like what the Rochester Schools had with Ascension, what some places are kind of trying to put together with different pharmacies and so forth. But again, it's confusing if you're just a resident at home thinking, where do I go? Am I on the right list? Are they going to call me? Do I have to make another appointment for the second shot? What shot is better? And so I think we could do in government in general a better job, and that really starts at both the federal, state, and county levels. And our job is to disseminate that information, what we do best locally. So it's really a mixed bag. We're trying to get it to everybody who wants it. And trying to deal with the communication challenges. And I think hopefully as more doses become available, this will get a little bit easier.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Shaner.
Again, I don't think there's enough gratitude to go around in the efforts to get our staff vaccinated. And I think also, having said that, I don't think there's any lack of frustration as well. Our focus has been getting our kids back in school to full-time instruction as soon as possible, and certainly with safety first. The vaccinations have been a point of frustration, and we're so pleased that our relationship with Ascension and with our school nurse and with the leadership at Ascension was able to get our teachers to a point where 90% of them are either on their way to their first shot or have their first shot, which we know gives them a certain amount of protection. I think on the frustration side, I share Brian's wonderings about how this worked out logistically. Me, for example, I had to drive to Holly to get my vaccination. And I gladly did it. And I think it's important to say that if you can get a vaccination somewhere, as Dr. Fauci would say, you should get it, particularly if you're, the high priority area. But, you scratch your head a little bit with the logistics of it when we say that it's a priority to get kids back in school. And then we're really, really struggling to get people vaccinated. The good news, again, is the strong relationships we have in this community, the strong support we have for our public school system. And we were able to get our staff vaccinated, which there's just not enough gratitude to go around. But I would echo Brian's wonderings about the logistics of it, and if it can't be more efficient. I'll withhold criticism because I don't know the complexities of it. I do know one time I tried to offload a maritime prepositioning ship in Mogadishu, Somalia for 3,000 Marines, and it was incredibly complex. So I can't imagine what a vaccination rollout is like logistically for hundreds of millions of people. But I do wonder about the efficiency of it.
That was a Bob Shaner mic drop right there, just in case anybody.
Yeah.
That was don't even try.
No, can't compete with that. Thank you. And to working from home. Earlier, we heard from Chamber President Elena Campbell about some exciting new ways the Chamber will be supporting businesses in our community, and many continue work remotely. So in our community, many continue to work remotely. Supervisor Abate, Mayors Bixson and Barnett, are you working on anything to address this shift to help make it easier for people to work from home? Supervisor Abate?
Okay, well, the majority of our residents have good Wi-Fi. However, the township has made Wi-Fi available to people in our township at the cider mill for their use. Our township offices have been kept open. The staff there, some are working at home. Front office, the front counter people are obviously working from the office in person. Things for us seem to be going about as good as can be expected.
Thank you. Mayor Bixson.
Yeah, so we also have a lot of our city staff working from home, but in the general question is, yeah, I think people are going to be working at home more. I mean, I think that's something you can't put back into the bottle. And so I think what we have to do in Rochester is create a city and facilities that allow people to successfully work at home. So we want to provide the best restaurants, the best businesses. We want to provide recreation. We have the library, we have the OPC, we have our tremendous park systems, we have our trailways, we have our river walk. So, I mean, by providing all the things that people want to live here, that's also providing things that while they're working here. So, I mean, literally you can live and work in Rochester and have things to do and have entertainment and have variety and never leave our town. So, I mean, of course, people are going to leave our town, but by providing all those things, I think we provide a great environment for people to work at home. So then when you have a little time, you can go out to lunch, you can go shopping, you can go for a walk, you can ride the trail. So we really believe by providing an excellent city services, city environment, we're providing a great atmosphere for work at home.
Thank you, Mayor. And Mayor Barnett.
Yeah, I think Mayor Bixon's spot on. I mean, this is an opportunity for communities to really shine. And if you look at the strengths of who we are in Rochester Hills as a greater Rochester community, this is fantastic news for us. I mean, number one, from the real obvious standpoint, we do have some commercial space in the city. It's a decent amount. It's not nearly as much as they have in Southfield or Troy or even Auburn Hills. So there is a concern from that aspect of it that the commercial properties that we have, the office space, I should say, is able to be leased. But think about this opportunity that was just sort of referenced by Mayor Bixson. I mean, those folks that are now working at home, number one, the housing stock we have here generally is afforded in such a way that there's room for that spot in the basement, that other bedroom or whatever, so people have the ability to do it. We're not in a bunch of townhomes that could be difficult. But also, as was mentioned, the amenities that a community have really are important at this point, right? It's the park system. Think about the disposable income dollars, the lunches that were eaten in Southfield and other places in Detroit and whatnot that now are eaten here. The fact that we've recognized this as a place to double down on the investments you're making in public spaces, in the parks, is critical. I mean, we're really putting a lot of resources into a couple places in our city. You know, I talk about Innovation Hills all the time, but there's a reason. People like that place. The numbers are off the charts in terms of how many more people are visiting that month over month over month over month. And that makes lessening the commute and the reason that we want to continue to be the preeminent place to live, work, and raise your family. Those kinds of investments are really important. So while this thing, I think, is probably going to be pretty systemic in terms of the changes that we're going to see in people from working from home, we are set up really well to take advantage of that and to recover nicely because of all the investments we've made in quality of life. We're a great place to be, not just at night when you come home from work. We're a great place to never leave.
Agreed. Thank you, Mayor Barnett. All right, just a quick reminder that this is a great opportunity for the audience to type a question. This is a rare opportunity to bring these figureheads together. So if you do have a question that you would like us to pose to these fine folks, please type it into the chat room. Please be civil, and we'll get your questions out to these fine folks. We do have a question, speaking of the audience. One of our audience wrote, as community leaders, working with state legislators to ensure that federal dollars allocated to Michigan during the pandemic are seen by local municipalities. You, community leaders, working with the state legislature to make sure that those federal dollars allocated to Michigan are seen here in our local municipalities. We'll start with Supervisor Abate.
Well, thank you. I've only been supervisor for 4 months, and I haven't done much, I have to admit, in that regard. But I'll certainly start.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Mayor Bixson, you've been around a while. What are you doing?
I have been around a while. Actually, as I always say, Mayor Barnett and I were elected the first time on the same day back in the day. So we've been here the exact same amount of time. I think it's important for community leaders to work with our elected officials. And I like to think that, you know, with State Rep Weber and now State Rep Tisdale and former Senator from both parties and McMorrow and stuff, it's important to work with them. We invite them to come to our councils and give them updates. We have questions, we call them. Our city manager, Wing, is also in contact with them. So, you know, it's important to work with our state reps, no matter what political party, to make sure that Rochester is represented. And it's also, you know, with the county as well, with Commissioner Kokendorfer. So that's important that we do that. And I like to think that I've worked well with them and want to continue to work with them to continue to bring resources that are needed and deserved to our local community. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I would agree. You know, part of my job is to represent the city of Rochester Hills. That is my sole focus, and anyone who can help my community is my ally. It doesn't matter the R or D that comes after their name. Working with Representative Tisdale, Senator McMorrow, I've signed joint letters with Congresswoman Slotkin, working closely with Congresswoman Stevens, and of course, you know, at the federal level as well. I've signed letters asking for municipalities funding with Mayor Duggan, who's a friend of mine. Sometimes I get a little heat for that. You know, I'm a Republican. You know, what are you doing working with so many people across the aisle? Doggone it, that's my job, and more people should try it because that's how you advocate for your community. You work with whoever can help provide resources because my job is to make sure the businesses have as many opportunities to succeed here as possible. My residents are afforded every opportunity they can. And I can tell you that I'm relatively agnostic as to party. I'll work with anyone that can help me and that can help my community. And I do want to thank our legislature in Lansing, the folks that represent us in Washington. Every single one of them I've talked to, I've worked with, and spent a lot of time with because this is passionate for me. I want to try to set an example that it doesn't matter who you're working with as long as you're working with someone. That's important, and that's what we try to do here in Rochester Hills.
Hey, David, that's a really important question for the citizens to know. And I'm afforded the opportunity to be in a nonpartisan position along with the members of the Board of Education. But we've worked really diligently to build relationships with all of our legislators, either federally or locally. Representative Weber came to our school board meetings regularly and reported out to the board and to the community what was going on in Lansing. I've been to Washington, D.C. several times to meet with Representative Slotkin and Representative Stevens, and actually the entire Michigan congressional delegation. I think it's important, though, for people to know that legislatively with your public school system, it is critically important to pay attention to what's going on, particularly with that Title I formula. For example, there is a school district in Michigan that will get $13,000 per kid potentially in COVID relief money. The Rochester Community Schools will get $1,000. So we'll continue to advocate with those legislators and build those relationships. I look forward to Representative Tisdale with his first board meeting to report out to our board. And as always, we'll continue to build those relationships and have those meetings. But it's critically important as we move forward in terms of making sure we get the support and resources that we need to move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Shaner. Thank you, gentlemen. We do have another question from the audience, and it looks like it's very specific to one of the municipalities. In fact, it's targeted at Rochester Hills. Mayor Barnett, you on your toes? You ready? Of the southwest corner of Auburn and Liverpool, the property is for sale. Is the city of Rochester Hills taking measures to ensure we keep the Beb oak tree?
The Beb oak tree will probably be down by this Friday. We just didn't see the value in keeping it. No, that tree is really important. It's on my lapel. It's on our flag. It's more than that. It's a symbol of hope and really a symbol of strength. We use that Beb oak to tell a lot of stories through COVID. Frankly, that tree has seen the Spanish flu. It's was here before we were a country. I think it's 246 or 250 years old. It is, it's seen every pandemic and world war and everything you can imagine, yet it stands strong, much like our community. And so while there is some development that is probably going to happen at that corner, the church owns all that property, Rochester Hills Baptist, all the way up, the name of the church, Rochester Hills Church right there owns that property and has it for sale. Every discussion certainly starts and stops with saving that Beb oak. That's an important part of our community. It's not going anywhere.
Understood. Thank you, sir. That's an important tree. I'm sure we will work all together collectively to make sure that it stays and remains long after we're all gone. All right. So we have one last question. Probably the most important question we could ask you this morning. We're going to ask this just of the community, Dr. Abate and Barnett. Sorry, Dr. Shaner. This one's specific to those guys, unless you want to answer. But listen carefully. Please listen carefully. Please describe for us your life using film titles. Supervisor Abate.
Okay, well, I discussed this at great length with my wife. She talked to our son. Our son suggested that, although not entirely fitting, that I use trains, planes, and automobiles. I would add to that ships. And that's what I'm using, trains, planes, and automobiles. I enjoyed traveling at a young age, and we've enjoyed it ever since. We've been to a great many places, really enjoyable, but I have to admit, nowhere near as many as Mayor Barnett.
Thank you, Supervisor Abate. Mayor Bixson.
Yes, I have also not traveled as many places as Mayor Barnett, so I just want to put that out there. I also discussed this in length with my wife, and I came up with two movie titles. One is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because I like to have fun. I think I like to laugh. And I think I have the philosophy that things do work out in life if you work hard and have a good attitude. So I think that. And then I think the last one was La La Land. I think living in Rochester, you can have all kinds of fun and entertainment. And this is the place that I'd like to be. And I think Rochester is fun, and La La Land is a perfect analogy for living in the city of Rochester. So those are my two movie titles.
I would say I had two for Robert. I'd say Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a pretty good one, actually. Now maybe not so appropriate, but
on anyone.
And I'll say the other one. I'll put the other one in the private chat because I don't want to get too much trouble. For me this morning, I don't know. I've been trying to ask for someone to bring me breakfast stuff. So this morning, I'd say it's a combination of Frozen and the Hunger Games for me. Still looking outside the door here. This is the worst community outlet breakfast ever. No breakfast. But outside of that, I would probably say I had a ton of funny ones. Some of them probably more appropriate than others, but probably A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is a good one. The old Fred Rogers one. I love my I'm blessed to be the mayor here. This continues to be a dream job for me and something that I truly enjoy and am passionate about. I love my community. I hope it shows. I think all of us do. We're really proud, really blessed to live in such a great area and to get a few moments every year to talk about it in this forum with friends on the screen is pretty cool. So I never want to stray too far away from the fact that this is still a great place to live, work, and raise your family.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. I can't believe someone didn't go with the holiday classic, the Jimmy Stewart Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life. Is that too easy?
That's pretty easy, yeah.
It is pretty easy. All right, gentlemen, we really appreciate that. In fact, on behalf of the Rochester Regional Chamber, thank you, Dr. Shaner, Mayors Bixson and Barnett, and Supervisor Abate for your participation today. To show you our gratitude, each of you will receive a gift card from one of our participating great something to eat, Brian. We hope you enjoyed today's programming. The networking and vendor booths will remain open until 11:15. And once again, we encourage you to take or as a part of the Chamber's Great Takeout campaign. Once again, special thanks to Rochester Hills TV, our Chamber partners, and of course today's presenting sponsors, Ascension, Providence, Rochester Hospital, First State Bank, and Moshe. Thank you for attending and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.